Good evening, friends and foes. Gather around, for this is a story of the Ring des Nibelung. But before we can reach the hero's journey in the story, there's a lot of context we must first establish. It all starts with one man, or really, Dorf, Alberic. Alberic was an incredible blacksmith who made the finest jewelry. He could also turn into a fish. He lived and swam in the River Rhine for many years. On one adventurous day, Albrecht tried going deeper than he ever had before. He went all the way down to the living place of the Rhine River nymphs, who then tormented him for his fish form. In revenge, Albrecht stole all of the precious, valuable gold from the river nymphs. He then painstakingly forged the gold into a ring, a powerful ring that allowed the wielder the power to rule Midgard, or the earth we now inhabit. This ring was called the Ring des Nibelung, a ring so valuable that it was the objective of all who heard of it in its rumors. Meanwhile, the king of the gods, Wotan, had commissioned the giants Fafnir and Faslot to build him a grandiose palace christened Valhalla. As payment, Wotan had given up the goddess Freya, but the giants did not accept. When Wotan learned of the Ring des Nibelung, he had Logi, a god of trickery, steal the ring from Alberic. In a mad fit of rage, Albrecht cursed the ring to bring destruction to all of its wielders. Not knowing of this curse, Wotan exchanged the ring for Freya as replacement for the payment of Valhalla. However, the second the giant Faslot had put on the ring, his brother Fafnir slew him to take it. Wotan wanted the ring back, as he did not know of the curse. He regretted giving it away. Throughout the story, he will conspire and scheme to get the ring back. The goddess Edra then warned Wotan to be careful what was to come, but Wotan did not heed this warning and went off to continuously pine after in search for the ring. Now it is time to explain the very weird and very disturbing family that the story has, as is typical of mythology. Wotan was married to his wife Fricka and had 9 children with her, but only one of them will be important to the story. Brunhild. While Wotan was formally married to his wife Fricka, but being king of the gods, Wotan was not exactly a loyal husband by any stretch of the imagination. One of these stretches was a insignificant mortal woman who had sired 2 children, Sieglind and Sigmund. In order to defend themselves, Sigmund was given a sword called Nothung. Years later, the siblings Sigmund and Sieglind had a child together. Sieglind was also already married to another person, but she did not care. Unfortunately for her, Fricka did, and ordered Wotan to kill Sigmund. In a desperate bid to save her half-brother, Brunhild, the aforementioned spawn of Wotan, tried saving Sigmund, but failed, and then was stripped of her godly status and immortality, and banished to a desolate mountain, where she could only be rescued by a brave, glorious hero who would climb the mountain and take her as his bride. Soon fate and Fricka caught up to Sigmund, and he died, leaving Sieglind to raise her child, the hero of the story, Siegfried. Being, of course, unable to take care of Siegfried, Sieglind gave her son to a man named Mime. Now, why is that important? Funnily enough, Mime was a brother of the ringmaker himself, Albrecht. Now, many years had passed at this point, and Wotan was getting increasingly concerned that Albrecht's son, the villain, Hagen, would get the ring, which would signal Ragnarok and bring about the end of the gods in Valhalla. So he decided to call upon Siegfried and command him to get the ring back from its current wielder. Mime agreed with this plan, but being Siegfried's mentor, he had a lot of sway over him, and convinced Siegfried to instead enslave Fafnir and keep the ring for himself. But of course, secretly, Mime always planned to kill the ring, to kill Siegfried and take the ring for himself. Siegfried then kills Fafnir by reforging his father's sword, Nothung, and then kills Mime after being corrupted by the horrible ring. Despite killing Mime, he decides to follow through on his wish and not give the ring back to Wotan. While walking about, proud of his new conquest, he encounters an old man quietly watching and following him on his path. He then acts extremely rude and blatantly hurts the old man. This old man was, of course, Wotan, always keeping an eye out throughout this tale. He then hears of a woman trapped on a mountain. He decides to rescue her, and when he does, it's love at first sight. Now, who is this woman? Why, it is Aunt Brunhild, who is sure to be a companion for life. Still seeking adventure, Siegfried sets off again, but is then drugged by Hagen in the home of Hagen's step-siblings, Gunther and Guntra, where he forgets all about the Brunhild and falls in love with Guntra. They then dress him up as Gunther and have him go kidnap Brunhild, but fortunately he fails. And now Brunhild feels betrayed that her one and only love tried to kill her. Hagen then convinces Gunther and Guntra to go kill Siegfried. Siegfried, even with the ring, is not all-powerful. And then he could not overpower the four of them. Hagen then slays Siegfried, and then Siegfried dies. And experiences death. Brunhild is devastated by this, regretting fighting him, and then takes the ring and decides to return it back to the River Rhine, where the story began, with hatred. She then commits suicide, burning herself on her husband's funeral pyre and dropping the ring into the River Rhine. Hagen tries to get the ring again, but drowns, failing. Due to the river flooding, Valhalla and all of the gods get destroyed, and then the world becomes resurrected. A world without magic, and only one god, with a capital G, referred to in the story as Balder, who died in a different, unrelated story. This is a world where everything is normal, where everything follows the status quo. This is a world where we inhabit. And that is the tragic, deadly, and incestful story of Der Ring des Nibelungen.